Barakatah Yahweh, Ba'ashem Yahushai, Ba'ashem Chakudash. Welcome to another live lesson. The name of this one is America, the Modern Day Egypt. And I want to start off the name of this real quick before we go into the lesson and mention that so-called 400-year prophecy of Egypt being America, or of the captivity of Israel being up in 2019 because the bulk of the slaves were brought here in 1619. Now notice how no one is speaking about that. No one is calling those people false prophets. No one's mentioning it, It pretty much was forgotten. And I just happened to be looking for a picture for the lesson and kind of came across it again. And that's the reason why I remember. Because the Spirit had me run into it. But now notice how no one is speaking about it. You had different groups out there that were bigging that up. The 400-year prophecy of Egypt. Israel being brought out of Egypt, out of modern day Egypt, which is America. Which, no matter how many times we went over it in Genesis 15 and Acts the 7th chapter, it fell on dead ears, on deaf ears, because it wasn't meant for everybody to get. And that Genesis 15 chapter and Acts the 7th chapter was dealing specifically with ancient Egypt and our deliverance out of ancient Egypt. Had nothing to do with America, although America is the modern day Egypt, as we read in the scriptures. But that particular prophecy had nothing to do with America. And no one is calling those people out. No one is talking about it. No one's calling no one a false prophet. No one's mentioning it on social media. No one's making videos on YouTube. No one's talking about it. No one's mentioning it. But let's say that had been us, Great Millstone, man, everybody in their goddamn mama, even the grandmamas 100 years old in a wheelchair making videos talking shit about us. But that's neither here nor there. Just came to mind. I saw it, came to mind. I just wanted to make a quick mention before we go into this lesson. America is the modern day Egypt. For those of you that have been studying and have been following along, with the scriptures and the breakdowns, know that America is found in the Bible, known as modern day Egypt. One of the precepts and one of the main precepts is here in Revelation 11 and 8. It says, "And their dead bodies," matter of fact, let me start at 7. "And when they shall have finished their testimony, the beast that ascendeth out of the bottomless pit shall make war against them and shall overcome them and kill them." It says, "And their dead bodies shall lie in the street of the great city, which is spiritually called Sodom in Egypt, where also our Lord was crucified." Now, does this mean that they would be physically killed, physically dead? No. Although you did have the beast that did slay the saints, like the scriptures speak about the great whore, whose blood the saints are found in. Let me see if I can find that. Let's see. Just bear with me 1 second. I'm trying to get two scriptures at once, and just bear with me 1 second. All right, let's see if I can find the other one. Here we go. Let's go with this one first. So let's read that again. It says, "And their dead bodies shall lie in the street of the great city," which, let's start up here. "And when they shall have finished their testimony," meaning the Israelites, "the beast that ascendeth out of the bottomless pit shall make war against them and shall overcome them and kill them." And this did happen, but this scripture we're reading here is not dealing with actual physical dead, the next verse that we're going to read. But let's just go to the book of Revelation 17 and 6 just to show you that there are instances where it speaks about, this whore, which is a part of the beast, and the slaying of the Israelites. It says in Revelation 17:6, and I saw the woman drunken with the blood of the saints and with the blood of the martyrs of Yahushai. And when I saw her, I wondered with great admiration. And there was a time where the northern kingdom was being slaughtered on this side of the world by this whore, by these Edomites. And then eventually the southern kingdom was brought over here, Judah, Benjamin, and Levi, and they suffered the same fate pretty much. And that's how the blood was the blood was, the woman was drunken with the blood of the saints. Now, when we jump to the 8th verse, it says, and the dead bodies shall lie in the street of the great city, which spiritually is called Sodom and Egypt, where also our Lord was crucified. This part here is dealing with something being spiritually dead. And when we read the book of Proverbs 21:16, it says, the man that wandereth out of the way of understanding shall remain in the congregation of the dead. So pretty much Jake was in a dead state, and this is why the Lord spoke by the mouth of Ezekiel the prophet and showed him a valley that was full of dry bones. And that valley that was full of the dry bones represented America, and Jake in a dead state spiritually. So physically they're walking around, but spiritually they're dead. You had Jakes with the shaved beards, the shaved heads, tattoos, and eating pork, eating swine, going to these churches, worshiping different idols, in the form of these religions, getting into the entertainment world, just many different aspects of it. And that is the representation of Jake being in a dead state. So it says, and their dead bodies, meaning spiritually dead, shall lie in the street of the great city. What is this great city? This great city is America. And when we read Revelation the 17th chapter and the 18th verse, it says, and the woman which thou sawest is that great city. What great city? America, which reigneth over the kings of the earth, because America is the one who the world follows after her policies, which had the wound by a sword, but then lived. And when she came back to life, so to speak, or when that beast came back to life, it exercised all the power of the first beast before it, which was what? The ancient Roman Empire. So going back to Revelation, and their dead bodies, spiritually dead, shall lie in the street of the great city, America, which spiritually is not physically, it's spiritually called Sodom. And Sodom was known for what? Sodom, Gomorrah, and the other the 3 cities that made up 5 altogether, which was full of a bunch of freaks, pedophiles, zoophiles, homosexuals, lesbians, transsexuals, all type of abominations. And America fits that to a T, because America is the head of all of that, pushing that madness around the world. Men can get married with men, women can get married with men or with women. But it's spiritually called Sodom and Egypt. And what was Egypt known for? Egypt was known for the great captivity of the Israelites. And when we look up different, this is the back of the seal of the United States, the reverse seal. And it says, Annuit Coeptis, or announcing the birth of, or our enterprise has been crowned with success. Novus Ordo Seclorum, which the event that they're speaking about that was crowned with success is the Novus Ordo Seclorum, or the new order of the world. And what you see here is what? Pyramids. These are Egyptian pyramids on the back of the dollar bill with the Eye of Horus, which is pretty much the Eye of Satan. And you see here the Great Pyramid. This is in Egypt. And then you have the Eye of Horus, or of Heru. So there's a lot of symbolism, that mimics ancient Egyptian ways here in America. The way that they set up the Washington, D.C. layout is all laid out according to Egypt. And this is why they chose that location, because it was more or less like the same terrain as Egypt. like a marsh area. And there were certain calculations within the design of Washington, D.C. that they had to move because they weren't able to make the ground sturdy enough to build these buildings on. So they had to shift it over, until they could find more sturdy ground, But it says the pyramid and the eye above it, which represents the eye of Heru, the son of God, clearly establishes an Egyptian link with the reverse of the Great Seal. The obverse of this seal is strikingly similar to the Nile Valley image of Heru, and the differences represent the cultural nuances which were unique to the United States. So pretty much this is proof that America is, this is one of the proofs that America is modern day Egypt. And it's not a coincidence that these things are on the back of the dollar bill. There's certain buildings set up the way that ancient Egypt was set up, just like Greece and just like Rome, because that's where they get their power from different nations. Here you have the Nile Valley presence in America. Here it says John Russell Pope's design for the Lincoln Memorial, 1912. I guess this was the design for the Lincoln Memorial. It says the Greek temple design of the Lincoln Memorial. And then they have a picture of Ramesses the second, looks like, and Abraham Lincoln pretty much posing the same way. So there's a lot of different similarities, There's a lot of different things that can be pulled out. I mean, you could go on for days with the different similarities between America, ancient Greece, ancient Rome, ancient Egypt, Nineveh, Babylon, so on and so forth. But we're dealing with Egypt right now because this place where you have these spiritually dead Israelites is spiritually called Egypt. That's one of the names that is given to it. Okay. Let's go from there to the book of let's go to the book of Isaiah, chapter 30. And Jake is engulfed in the modern day Egypt, America. They engulfed in this, and it's so much so that they even actually put on the clothing, but I'm trying to get a different word for it. Not just the clothing, but the there's a word for it. I can't think of it right now. The image, you could say customs, but there's another word that brings it out even more. The identity, the identity of ancient Egypt, which so much so even they actually go into Egyptology, which was created by Edomites here in America. It says, woe, Isaiah 30:1, woe to the rebellious children, save the Lord, that take counsel, but not of me, and that cover with the covering, but not of my spirit, that they may add sin to sin. And what is the covering that they covering themselves with? All of the different philosophies of America, which is the modern day Egypt. And even so that they even call themselves Egyptologists. And this Egyptology that you have today was created by Esau, the modern day Egyptians. It says that walk to go down into Egypt and have not asked at my mouth, because they're not asking at the counsel or the mouth of the Lord, for help, for answers. They're asking Esau, they're asking plantation Christianity, they're asking these different philosophies and religions that they worship for answers, but they're not looking to the Most High. And who is the mouth of the Most High? We are the prophets. So the prophets are out there speaking, but they don't come ask questions to us. Yeah, the water, brother Regalia. Yep, that's a very good one. They don't come ask questions to us about the counsel of the Lord. They'd rather go to Esau, mainly Esau, and then to their churches and the different establishment set up by these Edomites. It says to strengthen themselves in the strength of Pharaoh. And that's what they're doing. They're strengthening themselves in the strength of Pharaoh. Here in America, whatever the president says or the government says, the majority of Jakes go for it. It says, and to trust in the shadow of Egypt, because they're not trusting in the shadow of the Almighty. They're trusting in the shadow of Egypt. Let's go real quick to Psalms 91. You already know where I'm going. Psalms 91:1. He that dwelleth in the secret place of the Most High shall abide under the shadow of the Almighty. So the secret place of the Most High is what? This word. And those that seek refuge in this word will be protected under the shadow of the Almighty and will abide there, meaning live there. Okay? But Jake, they trust in the shadow of Egypt because it's something tangible that they could see. They see Esau's military. They see his money system and the FRNs, and all the goodies that come along with it. So that's why they trust in that. It says, therefore shall the strength of Pharaoh be your shame. That's right. And the trust in the shadow of Egypt, your confusion, because this is going to lead to your confusion. When all hell starts to break loose and you're looking for answers, you're going to try to go to your government, wear FEMA and all that. And what's going to happen? You're going to be had in derision because you didn't trust in Yahweh B'Shem Yahushua. You trusted in Egypt. You trusted in Esau. See? So now let's go back. Which is spiritually called Sodom and Egypt, where also our Lord was crucified, meaning our Lord was crossed out by the white image of the so-called white Jesus, the other white meat, sweet Jesus. Now let's go from there to, real quick, Isaiah 19:1. It says, the burden of Egypt, because there's going to be a burden. Let's look up this word burden. The word burden is masha'ah, load, bearing, tribute, burden, lifting, load, burden. So there's going to be a burden. Like when you have a donkey, sometimes they call burros in Spanish, or they call burros in Spanish, burro, burro. They're bearing a burden. So this place is carrying a heavy debt upon them that they're about to pay for. They're carrying this heavy debt on them, which is sins. Let me see. Is that card rope? Let's see if this comes up. Right, beautiful. Isaiah 5:18. Woe unto them that draw iniquity with cords of vanity, and sin as it were with a cart rope. So pretty much they have this burden upon them, this iniquity that they carrying with them. The word for cart is aigala, cart, wagon. It's like they're a horse pulling this load behind them. And the word rope is aibath. Cord, rope, cordage, foliage, interwoven foliage. So pretty much they're pulling this cart behind them. This cart of sin, of iniquity. They're pulling it with a cart rope. All right. So woe unto them that draw iniquity with cords of vanity, and sin as it were a cart rope. So America, Babylon the Great, this is a burden that's going to be brought upon them. This is the penalty for doing all of the wickedness that they've done. It said, the Lord rideth upon a swift cloud, which is what? The chariots. And Yahushua, we know he's coming in a great big chariot, the size of a mountain, whatever size it's going to be. There's been recent videos of objects in space hovering not too far from Earth that are 2 to 3, maybe 4 times bigger than the Earth. So could that be the ship that Yahushua flew up upon that Ezra's looked around on? We're going to see. It says, and shall come into Egypt, because this is Yahushua is coming into Egypt, because the chariots are going to be used to punish the wicked. They're going to be used to save the elect, and they're going to be used to punish the wicked. Let's go real quick to Zephaniah chapter 5. And I'm sorry, not Zephaniah. What am I? Zechariah. Salakia, Zechariah chapter 5. And I'm going to just go to the point. Let's go to verse 3. Then said he unto me, this is the curse that goeth forth over the face of the whole earth. What is that curse? This flying roll. And it's going over the face of the whole earth. Why? Because you have Esau that has taken control of the whole earth. The earth is given into the hand of the wicked. For everyone that stealeth shall be cut off as on this side according to it. And does not Esau steal? How did he get everything that he got? He stole it. This is why the Lord curses Esau out, the rich men of them, that their gold is rusted and cankered, and there's going to be a witness against them. It says, and everyone that sweareth shall be cut off as on that side according to it, because they make you swear in on the Bible here. It says, I will bring it forth, meaning what? The chariot, or the chariots, saith the Lord of hosts, and it shall enter into the house of the thief. And who is the thief? Esau. The thief cometh not but for to steal and to kill and to destroy. So it's going to come into the house of the thief. And what is his house? The whole of America. Especially here the whole of the earth. Especially here in America, which is modern day Egypt. And into the house of him that sweareth falsely by my name. See? And they do that. They know the name of the Most High. And they're swearing falsely by it. And it shall remain in the midst of his house, and shall consume it with the timber thereof and the stones thereof. Why? Because there's going to be missiles that are going to be shot. But out of the chariots, you're going to have the concentrated heat, which is in the form of those lasers, that's going to be shot out and destroy Esau and his whole system. You see? It said, and it shall consume it with the timber thereof and the stones thereof. So going back to Isaiah 19, the burden of Egypt, behold, the Lord rideth upon a swift cloud, and shall come into Egypt, and the idols of Egypt shall be moved at his presence, because he's coming to visit these idols. They're going to be judged also. Just like when the Ark of the Covenant was brought into the Philistines, and they had it in the same room as Dagon, what happened? The Most High caused Dagon to fall and bow before the Ark of the Covenant. Because Dagon is just a god. So that was Dagon's visitation. And this time there's going to be a lot of visitations that's going to happen upon the idols of Esau also. Because the Most High spoke about what? The image of jealousy. The Most High is a jealous power. So although these are inanimate objects, they're still getting the praise as if they're a god or the god. So the Most High is going to destroy them also, as well as the ones that worship with them. It says, and the heart of Egypt shall melt in the midst of it. Why? Because there's going to be a lot of destruction. And, all this tough guy talk that Esau does is going to be humbled in that day. Luke 21 and 25. It says, and there shall be signs in the sun and in the moon and in the stars, and upon the earth distress of nations and perplexity, the sea and the waves roaring. This is all the calamities and things that are going to be happening prior to Yahushua getting here. It says, men's hearts failing them for fear, see, and for looking after these things which are coming on the earth, for the powers of heaven shall be shaken. And the main thing is, outside of the calamities, is the actual chariots and the way that they're coming. Because most people are not looking for chariots to come to bring salvation and to bring destruction. They're looking for a lily white, so-called white individual by the name of sweet Jesus, coming through the clouds and saving them, saving Esau and anyone that bows down to Esau, and keeps Esau afloat, so to speak. So their hearts are going to be failing them. So this is lining up with prophecy and the prophecy that Yahushua spoke and the prophecies of the end. Reading on, it says, and I will set the Egyptians against the Egyptians. And this is why Esau is constantly fighting against each other too, because the Most High has that separation there. That's why you have the government, and then you have those different militia groups. You had, during the Civil War, you had the North and the South. They were fighting against each other, Egyptians against Egyptians. And we read about that also in the book of Revelation, the 6th chapter. It says, and they shall fight everyone against his brother and everyone against his neighbor, city against city and kingdom against kingdom, because eventually there is going to be another civil war. There is going to be, when the government oversteps its boundaries, guess what? These Edomites that are out there that are self-sufficient, that have weapons, that are training every day, they're going to be forced to fight against these federal troops because they're infringing upon their rights, which they feel that their rights are being violated, but really they really have no rights, because the way that they got this land, their forefathers got this land, was not by right. So this land doesn't belong to them because they conquered it from the people of the Most High. So they got to pay for it too. It says, and the spirit of Egypt shall fail in the midst thereof. And we see a failing of the spirit of America. It says, and the spirit of Egypt shall fail in the midst thereof. And you see people are not proud as they used to be. That so-called American dream, and they're popping off and looking down at everybody else. That spirit is pretty much been suppressed. It says bakwak. It says to empty, lay waste. So this place is emptied, is laid waste, is made void. You don't have the same spirit that you used to have. That proud American, go America spirit. That thing is done. Because it says, and the spirit of Egypt shall fail in the midst thereof. Why? Because of the things that are happening. This shutdown done destroyed, this economy, the economy of the world. And it's destroyed the morale even more of the people. The people were already mourning, but at least they were able to come and go as they please. They were still able to work. They were still able to pay their bills. Now it's to the point where there's like a pretty much, it became a prison planet. As hate to quote Alex Jones, but it pretty much became a prison planet. And when we look at these different what's the word I'm looking for? Percentages, I guess, for lack of better words, it's not looking very good. Right here, right? It says 22 million jobless claims in one month. Last 4 weeks erased all jobs created since the Great Recession, and that goes back to 2010. And when we look, they're giving you different graphs, but what I want to focus on is this main graph here, right here. American jobs. Here it is. You had payroll jobs created since 2010, and you see the payroll jobs that were created since 2010. Lost jobs in the last 4 weeks. So in the last 4 weeks, they lost as many jobs as it took them to create from 2010. So in the last 4 weeks, 10 years of building jobs has disappeared, has been lost. And that goes also further into the prophecy of this. We're going to jump back up, but let's go to the point down here in the 15th verse. Neither shall there be any work for Egypt, which the head or tail, branch or rush may do. So pretty much this pandemic has pretty much destroyed just in America. I'm not dealing with the world, just in America. It's destroyed 10 years of job building in just 4 weeks. And that just shows you how quickly something can take a turn. That's what the Lord says it's going to take the Lord 1 hour to destroy America. It's going to be easy work. It's going to be nothing. It's harder to build something than to destroy it. It's easier to destroy something. When you build a sandcastle, the sandcastle takes time. You got to build it just right. You got to take your time. But then when you finish it and you jump on it and pounce it, you could destroy it within a matter of seconds. So it's easier to destroy than to build. So in the last 10 years, the jobs that were built were destroyed in 4 weeks. Every last one of those jobs is gone. And you see all of these stores closing down. You see the natives getting restless out there in Michigan. They're rioting out there for them to open everything back up. Now they're talking about that they were thinking about opening it back up I forget what state was the first one to consider opening everything back up. But now they're talking about what if they open it back up and then you get a second wave of the coronavirus. So pretty much they're systematically shutting down the economy of the world because they're going to push that microchip, which is the mark of the beast. That is their plans. And what better way to do it than to destroy the economy, because that microchip is predicated upon the economy. Because you can't move either way without the economy. You have Ecclesiastes 10, right? And 19. A feast is made for laughter, and wine maketh merry, but money answereth all things. So money is what makes the world go round, so to speak, as a saying goes. That's why Maya Angelou Bauer said, give me control of a nation's money and I care not who makes the laws. Because money talks and bullshit walks. So this whole collapse of the economy is making room for a new form of economy, which is going to be, which everything has been always been geared to being online. You know, that scare, oh, you don't want to touch the money, you know, because it's too dirty. It might have the coronavirus on it. You know, if that's the case, as many people as got money in their pocket, everybody would have dropped dead by now. You know? But what it is it's a constant, little by little, putting it into the minds of the people. Get rid of cash. Get rid of cash. Get rid of cash. It's too dirty. No, we ain't taking cash here today. No, we ain't taking cash right now because it's too dirty. You know? These people are in a trance. But this is all done by design because they're putting it into the minds of the people that it's not good to have cash. It's better to do everything online. But you don't have to, you know, pull out that dirty, nasty cash, you know, that you give to somebody and then they might give it to somebody else and then everybody gets infected. But it's all systematic. You know, it's all systematic. And this is one of the main things that's going to push that mark of the beast is finance, because it all boils around finance. That's what we read, and read it again. Ecclesiastes 10:19, a feast is made for laughter, and wine maketh merry, but money answereth all things. And money is a defense. And this is why this country and other countries are collapsing, because this shutdown is not causing the stimulation of the economy. And a country is only as good as their economy. They're military also, but their economy is a big part of it, because if you don't have the economy, you can't pay your soldiers. And this is what was going on with ancient Rome. Ancient Rome kept devaluing the money because they kept expanding their territories and getting more and more military men to fight in their wars, so they had to cheapen the money to be able to give the men money. You see? So without that finance, you know, you ain't gonna get the people to back you, the military to back you. All right. So going back to Isaiah 19:3, and the spirit of Egypt shall fail in the midst thereof, and I will destroy the counsel thereof. And this counsel is being destroyed, because their counsel is what? For the new world order. This is why the Lord said that thou art wearied in the multitude of thy counsels. Because they're trying to keep this place afloat. They're trying to push forward their agenda. And that's why they're systematically breaking it down to introduce the new way of things, the new normal, the wave of the future, which is not going to work. And they shall seek to the idols and to the charmers and to them that have familiar spirits and to the wizards. And this is what they do. What happened when Moses started prophesying against Pharaoh? Back in the days, what was the first thing Pharaoh did? He called his wizards, his magicians, and all that. What? To counteract what Moses was speaking. It's the same thing now. They see the prophets out there speaking, and they're bringing in their wizards and their warlocks and their witches, you know, trying to counteract what we do. And it's not To the extent where, oh shit, you see that person over there? That you see they dressed like a witch. He's dressed like a warlock. They got the fangs. You see they got a little bit of blood. They just finished sucking somebody's neck. No, you ain't gonna see that. They come in the form of these different financial advisors, different individuals, scientists, and all. That's all a part of their wizardry. That's all a part of their witchcraft. So it says, and the Egyptians will I give over into the hand of a cruel lord, and the fierce king shall rule over them, saith the Lord Yahweh Hashem Yahushai of hosts. And they are, and this devil, Nero Trump, he could very well be this king that's going to rule over them, this fierce king, because this dude don't give a shit pretty much. He's reckless. And that's the guy you want in there to make shit happen. To do all kind of crazy shit. Because this dude steps on toes, he steps on corns, he steps on bunions. He don't give a damn who it is. It says, and the waters shall fail from the sea, and the rivers shall be wasted and dried up. And they shall turn the rivers far away, and the brooks of defense shall be emptied and dried up. The reeds and the flags shall wither. Yeah, because their defense is going to wither away. Because the Most High said he broke the scepter. He broke their scepter. Let's go to Isaiah real quick. And Egypt, Nineveh, Rome, all of these are synonymous one with the other of America. All right, Isaiah 14:4, that thou shalt take up this proverb against the king of Babylon and say, how have the golden city ceased? How have the oppressors ceased? The golden city ceased. I jumped ahead of myself. How have the oppressors ceased? The golden city ceased. So the Most High is he's squashing Esau's shit. He's starting to make him lose his power. The Lord hath broken the staff of the wicked and the scepter of the ruler. So the Most High is the one that broke this scepter. He broke their power. He's breaking down their will. He's breaking down their finances. So we reading the paper back in Isaiah 19:7. The paper reads by the brooks, by the mouth of the brooks, and everything sown by the brooks shall wither, be driven away, and be no more. And even their agriculture is suffering because these devils are systematically breaking it down. But that's the Lord working on the left-hand side. As Job said, I look for him on the right hand and on the left hand where he doth work. The fishes also shall mourn, and they that cast angle into the brooks shall lament, and they that spread nets upon the waters shall languish. Yeah, because everything is shutting down. So even though they get these fish and all that, there's no way to get the fish to market in some cases. There's no way to get this food that's being produced to these different places. And in a lot of cases, stuff is starting to rot. Milk is starting to go bad. Fruits are starting to go bad. Vegetation is going bad. You see? So what's going to happen is that's going to cause the supply to go down lower, which is going to cause the demand to go up higher, and it's going to cause the prices to go up higher because of the demand. But really, what is going to make the prices go up really is inflation, which is the devaluing of the dollar, where it takes more to get, the same, because the product didn't change. It's just the money was devalued. And now that there'll be short supplies, the prices can not only skyrocket from inflation and hyperinflation, but also from supply and demand. It says, moreover, they that work in fine flax and they that weave networks shall be confounded. Yeah, that's dealing with these fishermen, because they're going to feel it too. It says, and they shall be broken in the purposes thereof, all that make sluices and ponds for fish. Because now don't you have farm-raised salmon and farm-raised tilapia and farm-raised this and farm-raised that? Well, it takes substance to feed these fish and to maintain everything and ship them out. Surely the princes of Zoan are fools, and the counsel of the wise counsels of Pharaoh is become brutish. Yeah, because all of that fancy shit and the slick ways that Esau was dealing with people, everybody knows that this devil is the devil. It says, how say ye unto Pharaoh, I am the son of the wise, the son of ancient kings? Where are they? Where are thy wise men? And let them tell thee now, and let them know what the Lord of hosts hath purposed upon Egypt. Because we're letting them know through the spirit and power of Yahweh Bashem Yahushai what the Lord has purposed upon Egypt and its destruction. And this is speaking about the modern day Egypt. And this is why it spoke about the Israelites going into captivity into Egypt by way of ships. You see? Because this is the modern day Egypt. It says the princes of Zoan are become fools. And the princes of Zoan, there were wise men among the ancient Egyptians. Just like the Chaldeans were the wise men among the ancient Babylonians. But today these titles are applied upon those wise men of Esau that come up with all the different solutions, that come up, with the different slick legislation and slick ways to deal with situations, and how to be able to fix and manipulate things to get them to run in the way that they want them to run. But it ain't going to happen, man. Jeremiah 51:7, Babylon hath been a golden cup in the Lord's hand that made all the earth drunken. The nations have drunken of her wine, therefore the nations are mad. Babylon is suddenly fallen and destroyed. How for her? Take balm for her pain, if so be she may be healed. So she can't be healed. There's no way to heal this place because the Lord set an incurable wound under her. We would have healed Babylon, but she is not healed. Forsake her and let us go every one into his own country, for her judgment reaches unto heaven and is lifted up even to the skies. And this is why for a while now, all these different nations were going back to their country because they saw the demise in the economy of America. As to one day she was a beacon of light, there was that golden city where everyone came to get rich. Now they're seeing the demise and the fall of this so-called great economy. So a lot of these nations that were wise enough to see it, they left and went back to their country because they saw that making the same products in their country now, where their country was more self-sustained, more economically stable, they can make it cheaper in their country and send it to America and make a bigger profit than they could making it here in the States. So everybody's waking up to this hoe. So bring it back. So Isaiah 19:13, the princes of Zoan are become fools. The princes of Naph are deceived. They have also seduced Egypt, even they that are the stay of the tribes thereof. Yeah, because even Jake is being seduced by this place. And this is the stay of the tribes. This is where the tribes are at. Let's look up the word stay. Panah. Corner of square objects. And did not the Lord said that we were going to dwell in corners? So Jake is here in America. This is the stay of the tribes, but where are they at? They're in the ghettos, in the barrios, on the reservations, and different other bad places of the different cities, especially here in America. Shabbatah, which is the for tribe. Rod, staff, branch, offshoot, club, scepter, tribe. All right, the clan. So this is the stay of the children of Israel in these different corners. It says, the Lord hath mingled a perverse spirit in the midst thereof. Why? Because this place is finished. And everyone knows that have done any serious studying in the Bible that whenever a society became wicked, the Lord would come and destroy it. It says, and they have caused Egypt to err in every work thereof. And this is what's happening. Everything that's being done in this country, they err. They're committing errors because it's bringing us to destruction. As a drunken man staggereth in his vomit. and they're drunk. They don't know what the hell is going on. Neither shall there be any work for Egypt which the head or tail, branch or rush may do. And this is why we see the depletion of the jobs in America and the depletion of this economy, because they're trying to bring in, you know, this so-called New World Order, which is a new agenda. Okay, cool. I was about to ask what the hell is going on with this devil, you know, but I guess you got him already, brother. You know, because I was wondering what the hell was going on. I kept seeing Roz S. Oh boy. So let's go back. Let's read this last verse again. Neither shall there be any work for Egypt, which the head or tail, branch or rush may do. In that day shall Egypt be like unto women. See, it's going to be like women, because they're going to feel that pinch. They're going to feel that crunch, you know. And when they feel that pinch and that crunch, you know, most people don't know how to deal with adversity. It says, and it shall be afraid and fear because of the shaking of the hand of the Lord of hosts, which he shaketh over it. See? Because the Most High is the one that's shaking this place. You know, he's shaking it to its core. And it's going to get worse. It says, and the land of Judah shall be a terror unto Egypt. Everyone that maketh mention thereof shall be afraid in himself. Right. And you see how they're, you know, because beginning with Judah was the first ones to wake up. And you're starting to see for a while now, but now much more now, that they're afraid to see the men of the Lord standing up because of the counsel of the Lord of hosts, which he hath determined against it. And that's what's happening. This counsel of the Lord is going out. They're seeing the counselors of the Lord out in the streets all over the world, especially here in America, speaking and teaching. And they're getting nervous, you know, because they know that their judgment is close. You know, so everything that you see right now is revolving around the downfall of America. Here it is, man. Since 2010, all of these jobs are created. And then 10 years later, within 4 weeks, they all depleted. This cancels out each other. So how in the hell can you make anything grow out of this? You can't. You can't make anything grow out of this. So people are in for a hard fall, man. They're in for a hard ass fall, man. And we're witnessing the total collapse of the American Empire, which is nothing more than the ancient, or should I say the modern day Babylonian Empire, which is Babylon the Great. All right. So we know with that, you know, I'm going to leave it there. You know, there's other scriptures we could go to, but pretty much the point is being made. And there's many other comparisons that could be made to America as being the modern day Egypt. This was just a few, you know. So with that, I pray that your brothers have been edified. Until the next time I say shalom. That have done any serious studying in the Bible, that whenever a society became wicked, the Lord would come and destroy it. It says, and they have caused Egypt to err in every work thereof. And this is what's happening. Everything that's being done in this country, they err. They're committing errors because it's bringing us to destruction. As a drunken man staggereth in his vomit. And they're